All right, welcome to another episode of the Wild Strength Podcast, where we talk about all things wild, all things strength, and everything in between. Today, my guest is Luke from Gladiator Unfiltered, and we are here at the Mile High Hunt and Fish Expo, recording this today. I'm going to kick it off like I always do with a walk-up song. Luke chose Gladiator, and here we go. We'll play a short clip of this.
Yeah, that's what's up.
I think that's the part.
That's it.
That's the
You
part.
hit it.
Heck yeah. That's a good one. Is that a song that like you had created for this?
Yep.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So when I started filming all my hunts when I first started Gladiators Unleashed, I was like, I need my own theme song, and we hired a guy to make it, and it took like a good year to find the right one, and
Nice.
some of them were just a little too rocky for me.
Yeah.
Heavy metalish, and then we finally found one that would kind of rocked, and we went with it, and then it just transferred over to the podcast, so it works.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so Luke is kind of being a guest, as it looks like, on his own podcast here.
It's cool, actually. It's
We
cool.
are at the Gladiator podcast setup, and I have completely taken over, and he is the man here. But if you could just introduce yourself a little bit, tell a little bit maybe what you do with Gladiator Unfiltered, and then, yeah, we'll just get into who knows where this goes.
Yeah, so I literally just, I'm a former fighter, UFC fighter. I fought for 14 years professionally, and now I'm a coach. I coach one of the best guys in the world right now. I get on a plane on Monday, and I go to UFC 300. Justin Gaethje headlining the show. So we'll be in Vegas. I'll be in Vegas all week now. Saturday, we fight, pay-per-view, and it's just kind of been crazy. I left the fight scene, and I love the outdoors. And I was like, what am I going to do after, I quit fighting? And I got into coaching, but I wanted something. I was missing something in my life. And growing up from Nebraska, I love the outdoors. I was always a hunter. And I said, you know what? I think I want to get in the outdoor business. I don't know what that looks like. I'm still trying to figure that out.
You and me both.
And but I know I love the outdoors, and I love what it stands for, and how I can just be out there, and whether it's with my bow or a gun. And one thing led to another. I got invited on a few shows on the Sportsman's Channel, and I was like, wait, this is what you do for a living?
Hell yeah, sign me up.
little did I know, God bless those guys that all do that, because that shit doesn't happen overnight. The sponsorship, the money, the costs to film hunts, editing it. Dude, I found out real fast that I was like, dude, this is more of a hobby than making a business out of it, right?
For sure.
You gotta love it. And then COVID hit, and my gym shut down, and I got this shop in my house, a detached shop, garage. We call it a studio now. And I hit up a few of my boys, guys like Aaron Snyder, Joe Rogan, and I said, dude, you guys tell me to do my podcast. I told you no when I first started. Well, now I got all this time.
Yeah.
And they helped me out, and here I am 3 years later.
Nice, yeah, that's awesome. So we're going to rewind a little bit. You mentioned you're a former pro fighter. What got you into fighting?
I was in a small town, and in Nebraska, wasn't very many Mexicans in my town,
I
right?
believe it, yeah.
And when I was at the age of getting really good at wrestling, I said, I want to wrestle the best, so I had to go to a Class A school. I was in a Catholic school from kindergarten to 6th or 5th grade, I believe, and it was a smaller school unit, and I wanted to wrestle the best, right? So I begged my mom and dad to get me out of the Catholic school, let alone I wasn't that smart enough to be in Catholic school, right? So I was like, I'm out. I want to go to public school Class A and wrestle the best. So they were like, cool. Well, little did I know, it was a way different environment. Kids picked on me a lot. Like, they're like, literally, they were like, oh, go tell your mom to go clean my house, go mow my lawn, just a regular Mexican joke, right?
Yeah.
But it was not a joke when you don't know me, motherfucker.
For sure, yeah.
And
try me.
yeah, right. And I started fighting. My dad always told me, he's like, hey, do not be starting fights, but you do not let anybody bully you around, and you finish them. And
say less, Dad.
Yeah, right. And it's what I tell my kids now, you know. But it's one of those things where it saved my life, honestly. It really did. People think fighting is such a bad thing, but it's not. Like, it's a professional sport. I mean, I literally started, and when I got into high school, let alone I was college, whatever. I dropped out. I started seeing in the party scene, and I was a loose cannon. I was, partying, getting in trouble, and I was like, God, if I'm gonna do this, I want to put it in good use. And
yeah,
I went to a gym and started working out, and down the road there was a jiu-jitsu school and a Muay Thai kickboxing.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, what is this? So I went in there. 3 months later, I took my first fight, and I was hooked.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that's something you kind of mentioned, how it was something that brought you away from a lifestyle that you were like, this is not doing well for me. And people
100%.
talk a lot about that in sport, period. But also, like, I hear that more often than not with any fighter that I've ever met.
Yeah.
That, like, and which is funny because people look at fighting as like an aggressive sport,
Yeah.
and like, oh, if you're a fighter, you're aggressive, you're going to hurt people. But the complete opposite, you got into it to get away from
Yeah.
those things. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people think, fighting is so barbaric, and
Yeah.
especially when you see it in like a cage, octagon. Like, dude, some of those guys are the most trained athletes in the world. You're talking
Phenomenal.
Olympic wrestlers, and these are guys like my guy right now, Justin Gaethje. He's one of the most athletic guys I've ever met. Never fought in a street fight ever. He got one fight in college, and now he's one of the best in the world. So, like, it's not like you're like when it first started, when I got into it, it isn't like your normal, like, I'm a bad motherfucker and I can street fight. No, these guys are like literally trained athletes, and we got to fight 5 minutes a round for 25 minutes.
That's tough.
It's crazy. You know that. I mean,
It's tough,
anybody knows any outdoorman, like, go hiking up the fucking mountain with a pack. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Try doing a sprint for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? That's pretty
Yeah.
much what a fight is. And it's just not like rocket sock punching either. It's like these guys know jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, kickboxing, sambo. There's so much judo in it, and everything in these. It's just not like, oh, I'm gonna go in there and knock a guy out. Yeah, does it happen? Sure, but it's
If you're lucky.
but it's usually just a fucking war,
Yeah. And I think, too, you kind of spoke earlier, too, you were one of few Mexicans where you
Yeah,
grew up in
yeah.
Nebraska. And I think also, which is something that's very unique about the fighting community as well, is exactly that. It's a community. Like all these other sports, you're an athlete, and not to take the community aspect away
Right.
from it, but I think fighting, for my personal opinion, has the best community because it does provide folks like you, and maybe
Yeah.
you were even in like a low-income area.
Yep.
It's that place that you go, and like
Yeah.
you don't have anywhere else to go, and I can go to my gym, and I can fight, and I can train, and these people are your family at the end of the day.
It's usually like it's like what I got tons of questions this week, like done interviews is like, why do you like hunting, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And we'll
why
get
I
into
like,
that, but I'm interested in this too.
But like it was like it's the same thing as fighting. Hunting is fighting. That's why I like it, because it's the camaraderie of yes, we're beating the shit out of each other in the gym every day, like literally beating the shit out of each other, and we love that. It's like we respect that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you develop a brotherhood, and I'm so blessed to be a part of Justin Gaethje's camp. But what a lot of people don't know is I've been with this guy since day one. Like, I was losing money with this guy, going to Arizona with him. He was borrowing money from me when he first started, and me and him have this brotherhood and trust. And, when he became the star that he is, me and him have never had a contract of like a percentage of what a purse I get from him. It's just been awesome, because when the fight's done, and we get back and whatever, and he cuts me a check, I'm fucking blown away.
Yeah.
I'm fucking blown away, and like it's always more than what I ever expected, and it just like I'm literally blessed, and like it's just been, I paid my dues with him, and I think he gets
that's
it.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's crazy because I talked to all my guys that know me and Justin for a long time. Like, we would never have thought we have such a star and guy that makes multi-millions now and fighting in the biggest shows, and headlining 300, and I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
I get the best, seats in the house.
The best part about that is, like, that wasn't your expectation, right? Like, you trusted him. You're a good fighter. You're a good dude. I like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe this goes far where I get paid from it. Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
But, like, that goes back to that community aspect of it of, like, you're my fucking guy.
Yep.
And I believe in you. And, like, no matter where this goes, like, I'm going to be with you. And I think that's super cool. That's,
honestly, in a T, that's it. Because, when you I've worked with numerous fighters, right? And none of them, a lot of them made it to a bigger show, or but never like this, right?
Yeah.
Like Justin's one of a kind. And you always want that star and that big money $1 million fight, right? He's that guy, and I got to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's cool because here's what's cool. He likes to hunt. He likes to help me out. He's helped me build this brand just as much as I try to build it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's kind of that sense of camaraderie. Like, you help me, I help you kind of thing, and I think that's super cool. So you had mentioned how fighting kind of relates to hunting, so I kind of want to transition the conversation to that side of things. And Guy even mentioned yesterday that you've got a really cool story, so we can get to that too. But how do you translate fighting to hunting?
It's a competition still. You know what I mean? Like, when I quit competing competitively, I was like, man, there's something missing in my life. I need like something competitive, and I picked up a bow. And that will fucking humble you pretty fast.
Yeah, sure will. I did the same thing.
But I loved it, right? Like, whether I got a whole 3D range out at my place, and if I have a shitty day, shitty whatever, I'll go out there and shoot, and I'm cool. It's like my deal. But what I will say, as far as like when I get a tag in my hand, that's my opponent, right? And I say that in a fucking friendly way, because it's not like I'm trying to just go out there and beat the fuck out of this animal.
For sure.
Because I'm the one getting my ass kicked if I'm elk hunting,
Absolutely.
right?
They win every time until
I'm 0-3 in the last 3 years, man, with elk. So I just feel like, hunting in that competitive age, like when I get that tag, that's my fight, and I like to win,
nice,
right?
Yeah.
So, and especially with the bow, even with the rifle. I mean, I picked up my rifle now. I work with Sig Sauer, and I started doing more guns, and wow. But you find out that that's just as hard too sometimes.
I think the only difference is that you don't have to sneak in as close.
Right?
But you still got to get
that
for a good shot,
yep.
pretty close, and you got to know the animal, you got to know the terrain that you're in, and if you're hunting out here in Colorado, it is not easy terrain.
Not easy terrain.
Not at all.
It's crazy.
So, you kind of mentioned that you see it as a fight. I think that's super cool because with an athletic background, I see it similarly. Like, we have to train to be able to, we kick our own asses being out there on the mountain. And you have to be able to train to be able to do those things. I was actually having a conversation with someone right before I came over here, actually. And he's like, I have buddies who say, like, oh, I've never been successful elk hunting, but they're overweight, they don't train, and like, that's a huge part of being successful. A huge part.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, I cannot stress, like, going OTC or anywhere, by day 2, if you're not cramping and doing it, and if you're not trained, like, it sucks. You may have a 2 weeks vacation for elk hunting, but that's going to cut down to 3 days, 4 days, and you're looking away to get back in your truck and go back home. And like, you get told, you're like, oh, you better train, break in your boots, start hiking. But the only way you really learn is by doing it, I think.
For sure, I'd agree. And I think, too, more than anything, like you mentioned, you might have taken 2 weeks off for this elk hunt, but by day 4, you're like, man, I'm fucking tired.
I'm tired of sleeping on the ground, or I miss my bed, or, my case, I just love my luxuries now. Yeah. I became a little bitch now, you know what I mean? I love my luxury, right? And but it's just weird as I gotten older is, in the last, I would say the last couple years I've gotten spoiled. My honey's been a little catered to me. Mm-hmm. But this year I'm going OTC, and because I missed it. I miss the stars at night. I miss hearing the bugles at night. Mm-hmm. And I miss that experience, and I feel like, hey, I'm already fucking got this luxury place, and I still haven't killed an elk. I'm going to go out there, experience the real stuff, and do it. You know what I mean?
I like that. Yeah, you said you kind of have it all set up for you, and it's like you're still not successful, and I think that's the reality of it. And for people who aren't hunters, who kind of see, it looks like all we do is go out there and kill things.
Yeah, fuck that.
That's just what you see on Instagram, right? Like
the highlights of good stuff.
I have 3 archery tags this September, and I didn't film not one of them.
It's tough. That's what I'm saying. And it's not that can't shoot or you can't do it. It's literally hunting with the bow, and that's why like people don't understand. Like, I think that's what they said today on this morning podcast is like 91% bow hunters are successful. That's it. Or not successful.
I was like 91. I don't believe that.
I was like, bullshit. So then when I heard that, I was like, I don't feel so bad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't feel so bad.
And especially new. And I've heard a stat, too, that it's like kind of similar. Like only 8% of bow hunters are successful, and oftentimes it's the same ones every year because they've got it figured out. Yep. They now have their spots, and like they get smarter and smarter every year. Yep. They know where to go. Versus if you're someone who's new to it, especially bow hunting, if you're new to that, you don't know where the elk are. You don't know where you're going.
You don't know how to cow. You don't know how to do like the wind. I mean, you could be a perfect setup in the wind shifts, and that fucks you, right?
Yes.
But that's what I'm saying is like it literally is a fucking chess game, and like I love it, but I hate it at the same time.
You and me both.
You know.
So what got you in? Did you started bow hunting? Is that what it sounds like? Okay.
I was always a rifle hunter in Nebraska.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Growing up as a kid as a shotgun rifle, but the only bow hunting I did in Nebraska was over trout, like or not trout, but carp, like shooting carp at the lake.
Nice.
And that was funny is I told the story at the party, my kickoff party we did with Phil here. I was a fighter, broke-ass fighter at the time, and I had this bow that I had shot carp with, and he has a no limits archery, and I took it in there, and I said, hey, and I'm going to be a resident here in Colorado. I want to shoot my own deer and elk. I want to go hunt. And he looked at it, and he's like, hey, bro, you still fighting? And I said, yeah, I actually got to fight next month, you know. He goes, what's your sponsorship look like and stuff? And I said, money, because that's really what all I was doing, right? The product was not even an option. I was like, I need money, motherfucker, I'm broke. And he goes, would you be willing to take a sponsorship from us? And, in my head, I'm thinking money, right? I swear to God, I'm thinking money. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, Phil,
More money.
Right? He laid out 5 bows or 4 bows, whatever, and he goes, try them out, all of them the best. And I like the Matthews one. And I started shooting. I was like, man, this is the one. And I see the price tag. It was like $1,300 or whatever, $1,400. And I was like, oh, fuck. This guy's going to give me a lot of money, right? And if I'm going to buy this bow, right? He goes, hey, man, I want to hook you up with this product, this beer. I'm gonna sight it for you, put arrows. You're going to get arrows and everything. Well, in my head, I was like, no, I need money, right? And I said, no way you're going to do this for me. You're going to set up my whole bow, a new one. And that was the best thing I said yes to, because that bow that he gave me changed my whole life. Like, literally, it did. It just like, it was my outside of fighting, and like I said, man, I fought a few more times after he sponsored me. Logo on my shorts, always gave me shout outs. I brought tons of fighters to his shop now, but last Friday when he asked me to be a part of this thing, it literally was like a reward to say thank you for that bow because we packed that fucking place, dude. It was crazy.
That's awesome.
And I didn't realize that many motherfuckers liked me.
Yeah.
I was there.
That's so cool.
They must have been there for the food.
Yeah,
right?
They heard there was good food here,
right,
so I'm going to show up. That's too funny.
But yeah, it was such a cool bit. Me and Phil have such a great bond since he gave me that bow, and it's just been a game changer for me since then.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I always say similarly, like when I first picked up a bow, I wanted to get good at it before I ever sent an arrow at an animal. So that first year, I was just practicing shooting all the time, and I had a kind of a lot going on in my life at the time, and that was my moment when I was shooting my bow to like, man, if you're not thinking about everything that you're doing when you're drawing back that bow, you are not going to hit. You might hit the target, but not where you want to.
Yeah, you're not going to hit the vitals.
So like, everything leaves my mind in that moment, and not even just when I'm hunting, but like if I'm just shooting a bow at a target, whether it's in my garage at 7 yards or it's on a target at 30 yards, 50 yards, whatever, like there's nothing on my mind but I'm shooting my bow right now. And it for a period of time honestly became an escape for me. And it sounds like that's kind of maybe what it was.
No, it is. That's why I said, like, when I have shitty days, I go out there and I just shoot and I'm cool again.
Yeah.
I really am. So I get that. And I think that's what bow hunting does for people.
Sure. Yeah, I'd agree.
It's my therapist.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's my therapy.
Yeah. And I think it's so cool that Phil was able to, like, it sounds like he knew you a little bit, but also just kind of give that to you. In my experience, like I'm relatively new to hunting, and like I've not met. I've met a couple people that are bad ones.
Yeah.
But like I'd say 95% of the people I've met in the hunting industry, community, insert whatever word, are like the nicest people I've ever met.
Like I would say, everybody's pretty much like-minded, mostly humble. But there is, like, I'm in the same boat as you. As I got more into this game, you'll know the real ones versus the fake ones, and the ones that are trying to either get something from you or for some reason, probably you being a female in let's say in this world, hunting world.
Yeah, in any world.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. How can they take advantage of you or whatever? You know, like there's sleazeballs out there. There's but I would say, 95 is probably a good percentage of. There's a lot more good guys out there or women in this industry that want to help you grow, right? Like, I did not get where I'm at now from not good people helping me out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
As evidenced by the story you just told.
Yeah, straight up. It's where I'm at is because I've had numerous help to get where I'm at because I'm not the best bow hunter. I'm not a good mountain climber. I'm not the guy that goes out backpacking for 10 days like the Aaron Snyder.
Yeah.
Am I friends with him? And he's one of the guys that's helped me get my brand where it's at now. Because I'm real and he's real and he knows I don't pretend I'm fake. I'm something I'm not, right?
That's awesome.
And I just have had numerous help on the way, and I think that's what it helps, and that's why I always like try to kick back and sit down with you because I remember when I started my shit. I think that's, and I really want to kind of touch on that a little bit more, especially men are less likely to ask for help, are less likely to lean in when they don't know. They want to figure it out for themselves. And honestly, I've even, like, outside of being a woman, I've had guys be like, oh, like, you get this because you're a girl. And I'm like, no, I put myself out there and I ask questions. I know nothing. Right? When I first started shooting a bow, I was in my archery shop all the time. Like, I didn't know what the fuck a rest was. I didn't know, like, I didn't know how to sight different language, right?
So it's completely different language. So I'm in there, I'm asking all the questions. And then I move out here to Colorado and I'm like, I don't know the first thing about elk hunting. So what landscape should I be looking for? Like, what areas should I be in? Like, what kind of weather? Like, does weather affect how they move? Like, I don't know. So I'm asking questions, but I know guys who have hunted for all of their lives, and they're like, oh, you're able to harvest this and this and this because you're a female. And I'm like, that might play a small role in it. But I humbly will say I ask the questions and I ask for help. I'm always asking, how can you help me? So as a man, like I said, I think that's awesome that you are willing to ask for help because a lot of men don't. Speak to, like, how much that has seriously helped you.
Well, it's like me being a fighter, right? Like, when you lose a fight, it's very humbling. Like anybody, like a woman or a guy, like you lose a fight in front of fucking 20,000 people, it sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it sucks. You never want to lose a fight or any competition, right? It sucks. It doesn't matter what you do, right? You don't want to lose. And I think my pride's got checked a long time ago, right? Like,
Yeah,
I'm cool. Like everybody's like, dude, I can't believe you were a fighter. And I said, dude, I would rather make people smile and laugh than put a frown on their face or act like I'm a dickhead or I got to be a badass in front of you.
Yeah.
I know what I can do.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I'm cool. So, like, when it comes to, like, hunting or if something I don't know, like, if you want to learn how to whoop someone's ass, I got you.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Teach me.
I'll teach you how to fucking fuck someone up.
Yeah.
But I literally, when I got into, outdoors, I mean, I grew up in Nebraska. I was like tree stand hunting. My longest shot was 200 yards, maybe, tops, right? 100 yards.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. So when I came out here, I was like asking questions because, I don't know, I guess that's kind of like what I'm just saying. Be humble when you come in.
For sure.
This game and ask questions, learn. Like, I still learn about fighting, and I've been doing it my whole life.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's a great mindset to have. And you brought up a good point as far as like just to being open to learn. But you said you've been humbled, and anytime man or woman, someone says something kind of what I was talking about, I'm like, you've just never had shit taken from you. Like, exactly. You need to be humbled.
Yeah.
And for me, I've never been a fighter, obviously, but like I've had other things happen in my life that I'm like, I could have everything taken from me, and I know I'm going to be okay because some things that I've been through.
Yep.
And it sounds like even outside of fighting, like maybe you've kind of experienced some of those things too.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't necessarily just be fighting. It can be just anything. Like, like facing, like, being the only Mexican in class and like feeling that hate with you, and then just a bunch of bad experience has made me and turned into a lot of good experience too. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. I say just be humble, man. Fucking come in there and be cool, and it's better to get along with people than fucking just try to act like you're a one-upper or I'm better than you or I do it better for you. Cool.
I don't care to be the best one in the room.
I never said I was. But the thing is I'm going to do me, whether you like it or not. That's the key. And it's got me pretty far in the game.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. You mentioned earlier, like, kind of being the only Mexican growing up, or one of few, and then now even getting into hunting. Like, hunting is a very, like, white male dominated industry. Has that kind of impacted you at all?
It's crazy because I went to New Zealand, right? And I took we were there with Chad Mendez, TJ Dillashaw, and Lorenzo from Go Hunt, and I'm there and I'm the host. And I go there and I got a whole camera production team, producers, and I'm carrying my bag, my pack and everything, and they're like, you can put your pack. I was asking where's the rooms and shit. He's like, yeah, you can just move all this stuff out. Well, they were telling me where to go, and they thought I was coming back. They thought I was like the help. It was just kind of like, and they were like, okay, so where's Luke at, the host? And I said, that's me, motherfucker. What the fuck do you think? They're like, whoa, I didn't know that was you. Like, wow, really? And I just looking back now, like, the guys that are running this expo, Phil Mendoza, Abe, like, literally, these guys are some minorities right now doing some big things. And I'm like, it's proud. I'm very proud of that, and I support it. And it's just cool because, it has been a white man's game. Even back in when they were in England or whatever, like doing the Viking days, hunting was there. And to see it transfer over here, and now that, it's an opportunity for everybody. And I think that's why I like it so much, because it doesn't matter if I'm brown, black, or whatever, I got some great black friends that fucking love hunting, and that's all we talk about, right? It's so cool, At the same time, I got great white friends that have showed me so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I always say, like, hunting, we can use it in hunting, but the mountain is a great equalizer.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter male, female. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is.
Yep.
Like, the mountain is going to humble you really fucking fast.
You said it right there. I think that was my ass kicking outside of hunting, right? Like,
Yeah.
or outside of fighting.
Yeah.
You know, a mountain will fucking humble you real fast. And it's so weird because, you know, like I will get punched left and right in the face, kicked in the head, kicked in the leg. But man, there's sometimes I'm like fucking day 3 and this fucking air mattress sucks dick. I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
Let me go home. You know what I mean?
Do you think maybe like the mental resiliency you built in fighting has translated
Yes.
to being able to stay out there for days on end?
That's the only reason why I stay out there, because 1, I'm not a quitter. 2, you know, if I say I'm going to do something, if I'm going to do 5 days, 6 days, I got to stay there and do it, right?
Yeah,
Unless I'm
absolutely.
fucking really hurt or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, like, yeah, that's the fun part. And like, there's been days where for day 2, I get into them, and then, you know, 2-3 days I got nothing, and it's depressing, right? Like, you're like, God damn it.
You don't
I
hear,
blew
see, smell,
I blew my
nothing.
shot, right? Like, I blew it.
Yeah.
And then the last day comes the last hour, you're in them and you make it happen, and that it's just hunting, and that's why I like about it. You know what I mean? It's like the comeback fight, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go look at it.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of, and kind of back to the point of like people who aren't humbled and all of that, like, I think asking the questions, having a mentor, and I kind of want to speak a little bit more to that too. Like, you've had these mentors who have helped you. Like, speak more to like just the value of that, and like why, and any, like, even outside of hunting, it sounds like maybe you had that in fighting too.
Yeah.
Just people who were able to help you. Like, how important is that to reach any goal that you have, right?
Yeah. You know, mentoring is so huge to me. It's been huge with me, and then I had so many different mentors. At the time, you don't really think they're mentors.
Yeah.
But as you get older, and like, you know, I've had uncles, cousins in the outdoor business that you know, took me out, and this is why I love the outdoors right now. I love hunting because of them. They were the ones showing me, you know, this and that. And it's funny because I was just literally talking to somebody about this. You know, what do you think about all this scent control and all this stuff? And I was like, man, when I first got into it, I was all about it, right? And then I went back out with my cousin that got me into hunting. He smokes a pack of Marlboro Reds all the fucking time, and he smells like a fucking chimney, and he's out there fucking smoking a cigarette, and that motherfucker kills deer all the time still.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, but you take that with whatever you want. So
I have to laugh at that because when I was taught, like in Texas when I first started hunting out there, that like scent control is so important, and to get like the scent lock gear and all of this stuff. And then
money. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And I came out here and I was hunting with a guy who his vape that smelled like strawberry banana was his wind gauge.
Yeah.
Like,
Straight
he
up.
used that to check the wind, and I'm like, oh my God, I can smell that.
Yeah.
Like, that smells super sweet. And he was like, and?
Yeah.
I kill things all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I
Enough
rest my
said.
case.
It really is. I'm sure there's play the wind. Yes, you got to play the
For
wind,
sure,
but
yeah.
I don't get too caught up in it anymore, and it probably ruins my sponsorship with any scent locker. But, hey,
Yeah,
I don't care. I call it how I call it,
For
right?
sure,
like,
yeah.
I just, you know, same thing. You blow the smoke in the air, and that's his wind detector, and I don't. You know, the humbling part, mentoring thing, that's why I try to do more and more now, because I know how much it was rewarding for me and where I'm at now in my life. You know, I got 2 kids now, so I try to show the most, you know, the good and bad, right? I want to be positive for them, but I also got to tell them reality is not everything's fucking winning
Not
first
butterflies
prize.
and roses, yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I try to do is just mentor, let alone my kids. But, you know, there's tons of kids that come in the gym. You know, now that I have a platform now, it's, you know, and Justin's there, it's more important to be that positive person than that negative Nancy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree. And you I think it's so important when you have kids and everyone wants to be that role model. Every parent is like, I'm the role model for my kids, and a role model looks different to everybody. But I think important, and you're probably really good at this, important to teach them you can get knocked down time and time and time and time again, and it's gonna fucking suck. But look at you now, right? You're doing all of these cool things now, and it's brought you to this place now, and even you're working with one of the #1 fighters, and then you've got all these sponsorships and hunting, and people probably look at you, and you even said this, they're like, this man's doing that?
Oh man, the thing is I get now is dude, I want your job, I'd love to be you, and I'm like, dude, it's not always, it looks really flashy out here, but I've been doing this now for so long, and there was a lot of times where I had to do this for free, and what people don't realize, stressed out, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to do this? Literally, it's not hey, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to get sponsored by this company, and they're going to give me all this money. Yeah, the outdoor business is a piece of pie, and everybody wants a piece of that one pie, and it's slivers. It's just slivers, and then you're competing against all these other podcasters, outdoorsmen that have TV shows, have huge followings.
Yeah.
But what makes you different? You know what I mean? That's my best advice is be different, be real. My whole deal was, I had money offered to me, and don't let my wife hear this, but I had money offered to me, and good money. One, I didn't really believe in the brand, no. I didn't really care for it. And two, they were trying to tell me, hey, can you take it easy on the cursing, swearing? And I'm like, damn, that's like asking me not to breathe, you know what I mean?
Right, for sure.
But I needed the money, right? You need the money. So I was like, dude, what do I do?
Yeah.
Do I be true to my brand and continue to do what I do, or do I sell out? I haven't sold out yet. Did I say yet?
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. But I feel like I've done pretty well.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I always said, I'm not trying to get rich in this whole thing. I just want to continue to hunt. And,
for sure.
And be a positive deal. I want to be... I listen to podcasts. You listen to Rogan, Cafaro Cast, all these other ones. You go there to learn or maybe listen to something. I wanted something different. I wanted different stories. I wanted to entertain people, have fun. You're not going to learn a whole lot of shit with me on my podcast. You're just going to probably know what not to do. You know what I mean?
That's valuable too.
And some funny shit, some funny stories. But yeah, I don't know. I always say just be be true and loyal to your brand. You know what I mean?
For sure. Absolutely.
Don't pretend you're something you're not.
Yeah.
That's the
I actually
key.
just had a very similar conversation with Guy, because he was like, I'm just curious, being a woman here and in hunting, and what does that look like for you? And I'm like, for reference for you, my background is working with military.
Yeah.
So if I show up a female working with a bunch of men who know their shit, I'm going to get eaten alive.
Yeah.
So I can't show off. I can't show off with my butt hanging out of these shorts. I can't show off trying to be show-offy because, one, they're not going to take me serious in my job if I do that. I'm going to be the laughing stock of all of these men. And two, they're not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something good to look at, and that's it, right?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Just you working in that fame, and I just know how the world is, right? And how guys are, right?
Same.
You're a very attractive woman.
Yeah.
So you probably have your work cut out for
sure.
you.
And so that's kind of what he was asking, and I'm like, I know coming to something like this, or if I'm going to a 3D shoot, or anything that's hunting related, even I even told him I'm in jeans today. This is unlike me to wear jeans in this setting. And he was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, because to me that looks like I'm trying to dress up to be here.
Really?
I'm almost always in hunting, pants that I would go hunting in, and just a t-shirt, because and this is maybe me overthinking it, but I don't want to be perceived as that woman, and you have to, unfortunately. But then also to your point of being yourself, truthfully, jeans are not comfortable to me. These fortunately are. But I want to be comfortable in what I'm wearing. So then a lot of people do point out the fact that like, oh, you always just dress like, not dress like a man, but like you're always in your outdoor clothes. I'm like, well, that's fucking comfortable, and I like that, and that's what I want to wear, and I'm not gonna be that woman who dresses up because I don't love that. That's not me. And then he was kind of asking about the podcast too, about just different things and branding yourself. And he was like, stay true. I had someone that had come up to me about being on their pro staff.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, I don't know nothing about them. I've never used their product. And he was like, feel them out, but like, if that's not your thing, that's not your thing. And don't do that.
It's kind of a catch-22, I guess. That like, you need to get your foot more in the door. You do. But do your research and say, hey, let me check your product out first before I make this commitment. And that's what I do a lot of things with my companies now, and maybe this is just experience, because I only want to work with guys and companies that are like me, or products that are truly like, you know. I feel like I've done a pretty good job of staying true to what I mean by that is, like, I want guys to respect me. Like, if I'm gonna drink a beer on my podcast, I don't want you to monetize me and tell me, bro, you got fucked up that I gotta take your preference. Like, no, that's me. What you see is what you're gonna get. And that's why I work with the companies I work with. And like I said, I told you, I've had money offered me to this, I turned down because I want to be true to who I am, and
that's huge.
I don't want this to become a job. I want this to be fun still, and I enjoy this. You know what I mean?
I would agree. And I think the second you make it a job, because everyone says, like, find something that you like to do and you don't have to work a day in your life. The second you make it a job and it's that serious, and it's like, man, I don't even like it anymore.
That's why I had to stop filming so many hunts, because it was so stressful on me to get a kill shot. Just, you know, how hard is it to fucking kill an animal in the first place? Let alone you got a camera crew out there, and you're like, I'm like, fuck, dude, this is killing me. It's not making it fun anymore.
I've had a number of people who are like, oh, you should, like, you're a female, you should film your hunts. And I'm like, I'm not even successful 50% of the time. Like,
we get along great.
It's just gonna be people out there like watching me like think through life, and kill myself and bow hike and all that. Like, and maybe that is a real part of it, and like to show that, I think is important, and to talk about how like you don't always fill your tags. I think that's also important to show. But like, I'm not gonna get 50,000 views on a YouTube video that I didn't even get anything.
I don't know. I got a few of them. I went up there and I just fucking shot and missed a lot of animals, you know. But that's why, like, my producer at the time was like, dude, we can't show this. I'm like, fuck too.
It's real.
That's me. I'm not trying to just show limelight, glory shots. That's all these other guys. I'm real. So you check the YouTube channel, you will see fucking misses, because it's real. That's why I said,
I love that.
I'm real, and I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat something I'm not. Fake it. I'm real, man.
And I think to do those things is to succumb to what the hunting industry or what these people want. And same thing with this podcast. Like, even just having someone ask me to be a part of the pro staff is like, man, like, that's not why I started the podcast. I didn't start it for deals. I didn't start it for discounts. I didn't start it to be on a pro staff.
So why did you start doing a podcast?
To educate people, right? Like, my background is in strength and conditioning and coaching, so that's kind of where the strength part of it comes from. And then as I learn more about the hunting and the outdoors, and especially for women, it's a very growing field for women. Like, more and more women want to be involved in it. And I have a passion for education, period, outside of the podcast. Like, just to teach people things, to see them grow, to see that like light bulb click. Like, I love that. And so that was my only goal, was I hope that one person, and I meet so many cool people like you. Like, who would have known I would have met you here at the Expo?
It works both ways.
And like, and we have such cool conversations. And I will leave a conversation being like, man, I took so much away from that personally. I wish I recorded it for myself. And then also, because I took so much away from that, I wish someone else heard that conversation, because that was a great learning
podcast.
Right? Exactly. So for me, it is, how can I get these conversations that I'm having? I know a bunch of cool people, and I know I'll continue to meet a bunch of cool people. How can I put these conversations out there so other people can learn from them? Which, like, that means if a sponsorship comes from that, cool, but that was not my goal. And so I'm almost hesitant to even like
open that can of worms.
Because I don't want it to look like that was my intent. So that's tough.
It's good and bad. It's one of those things like I went that route because it started taking away from my family life. I started doing this, so I was like, well, I gotta have something to show for it now. And let's keep it real. All this equipment, time is something we can never get back.
Time is money.
Time is money, right? And I figured if I'm gonna do this, I might as well try to make it a business. Make a little money on it, and I've done that. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. Now these companies expect me to put out what I committed to, right? Like podcasts once a week. You know what I mean? Certain contact, their name on the logos. When you come out to my studio, you'll see I got their brands all over my wall, and that was kind of one of those things. So when I came here, how do I promote their brand? Bam, TV.
Too easy.
You know what I mean?
Nice,
so that's my commitment. So you gotta stay. I never commit to these companies. I always try to have the agreement a little less, but I always try to over deliver on them.
Nice. Okay.
So when a year's up and they've got to re-sign with me, it's pretty easy, you know what I mean?
And too, I think, and from what it sounds like you know these people also, and you have good relationships with these people.
Where it's
like,
at.
I don't ever want to get some sort of offer, whether it's hunting or anything, like a job may it be, with feeling like, you feel fishy or something doesn't feel right about that. Like, I almost would do the opposite, where, like, say, you've created this product and, like, you're someone that I think highly of. Like, I might not have ever used the product, but fuck yeah, I support you. So I'm going to support the product following that, versus, this is the most popular product ever. I'm going to choose this product because everyone loves this. But, like, the people who run the show are not people you want to be around.
Absolutely. Like, that's honestly the truth. And, like, there was a couple times where, like with the Traeger grills. Awesome product, awesome people. It was just a friendship deal forever. Never asked for a dime. Never asked for a product. Never asked. They just knew they were fans of the fighting game. And then they were like, dude, we want to do something with you guys. I said, well, I don't know. I'll tell you what. Let's start with this. Why don't you guys come out and cook for us?
Cool.
And we were in Salt Lake. They were in Salt Lake. And it just happened to work out to see how everything works. And dude, it was one of the best experiences that we've had, and now they're just been an awesome partner with me.
That's awesome. I love that. We're coming up kind of on an hour here.
Weird,
I know. Time flies. I end all of my episodes asking my guests, what does wild strength mean to you? So you can take that quite literally, or it's kind of from like a mental health approach, or like what is being in the outdoors. But or what do you think of whenever you hear the phrase wild strength? Wild strength,
when you hear wild, it's pretty much wild. It's pretty much what gladiators are. We're wild little fuckers.
I love that.
I honestly, man, I take that in two different counts. Wild strength is, one, you got to be a bad motherfucker. That's one way of looking at it, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But two, the strengths are different. There's a lot of people that are smart strength and physical strength. Wild is meaning you're willing to get in some shit, and you better be strong in doing it. Or, like that saying, if you're going to be dumb, you better be tough. That's wild strength to me right there.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, sit in your shit. Like, and it's going to suck when you're sitting in it, but you're going to be stronger when you get out of it. So sit there, sit in your shit, and deal with it for now.
That's true. That's a good way.
I think you have to do that. Where can people, if people want to find you on anything, if they want to support you, where can they find you?
I'm on the IG at Gladiators Unleashed. Facebook, too. I got my podcast is on GU Unfiltered on the IG. I'm on all platforms. YouTube now. We go live on YouTube's. It's just been around now for a minute, but like I honestly got to say, it was a blast being on the other shoe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on, honestly.
Thank you so much, guys. If you're listening, go follow Luke listen to his podcast, GU Unleashed. Go follow the Gladiators brand. And as you can't tell by the conversation, a really awesome person to know and to listen to. Thank you.